good morning, afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are. Thank you very much for joining us today. And good day to all of you once again. It's such a great pleasure for me to be here, to have this opportunity to welcome all of you to the first webinar of the year. My name is Punyapa Buntham, and assistant professor at Nakhon Sawan Ratchapat University in Thailand, serving as the moderator for this webinar, and I will with you throughout the program. For your information, ladies and gentlemen, AsiaTEFL Webinar Series 2023 project will take place every 2 months on the last Saturday of the month, which means we will hold 4 webinars in total this year in May, July, September, and November. And this is the first webinar of the year. Okay. And as we all know that our first webinar theme is technology integration in ELT, insights into practices. And we have a fantastic lineup of speakers and a wealth of knowledge to share with you. We are honored to have 3 guest speakers who are experts in their own fields and are passionate about sharing their expertise and experience with technology integration in ELT. So the first speaker will be Professor Dr. Hae-Yeon Kim. The second speaker will be Professor Dr. Mohammad Kabilan. And the last speaker will be Associate Professor Dr. Francesca M. Yvonne. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so thrilled to let you know that there are more than 300 people from all around the world who registered their interest in attending this webinar. We are remarkably a global presence, and we are certainly proud to be part of this diverse and vibrant ELT community that welcomes everyone, no matter who they are or where they're from. And now I would like to announce that AsiaTEFL has a dual presidency, and we have 2 new presidents. The first one is Professor Suwasa Matya and Professor Ju Kyung Park. In addition, we have about 29 executive members attending this webinar. Maybe you could smile and wave your hands to our participants. Thank you very much, and congratulations on your new roles. Okay, so I think it is the time that we could start off our webinar with a cheerful atmosphere. Okay, so to officially start off our webinar today, I would like to invite Professor Ju Kyung Park, President of AsiaTEFL, to give the welcome address.
Yes, thank you. Well, distinguished speakers, AsiaTEFL Executive Council Advisory Board members, AsiaTEFL members and future members, friends and colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen, good morning and good afternoon. On behalf of AsiaTEFL, I'd like to welcome all of you to the very first webinar of this year. And launched back in 2021, AsiaTEFL series has become one of the most successful and powerful AsiaTEFL activities. It was initiated by our late Professor Ganakumaran Subramaniam, who was the Vice President of AsiaTEFL, and he passed away only a few days before its launching. So we don't have him with us anymore, but his legacy will stay on with this webinar series. And I'd like to thank all those people who have worked so hard to make this webinar series happen, including our Vice President, Professor Pragasi Sititiko, and all his webinar organizing committee members. And also my special appreciation goes to the 3 speakers of today's webinar. Dr. Hae-Yeon Kim, please wave your hand. Yes, thank you. And Professor Mohammad Kabilan, I just saw him there. And Professor Francesca Maria Ivan. Thank you, professors, for taking your time and sharing your experience and expertise with us today. Now, as the president of AsiaTEFL, I'd like to take this opportunity to tell you what AsiaTEFL is all about. So I'm going to share my PowerPoint slides. First of all, AsiaTEFL is a must-join organization if you are committed to English language learning and teaching in Asian contexts and cultures. Why? AsiaTEFL has these missions to embrace all Asian contexts and cultures, expand its scope and scale further to the whole world, continue to lead and represent the English language teaching profession globally, and continue to contribute to the development of teaching and learning English as a lingua franca, and continue to serve its members' needs, offer professional development in new and inspiring ways. And in order to accomplish these missions, we have dual presidency. So currently, we have Professor Swarsi Madhya from Indonesia as my co-president. And my name is Ju Kyung-pa. I am another co-president from South Korea. And we have 5 vice presidents. Professor Masaki Oda is the vice president of membership. Professor Pragasi Setutiko is the vice president of conference and professional network. Professor Chu Fangwen from China is in charge of research. Professor Hee-Kyung Lee in charge of finance and public relations. And Professor Ramesh Nair is in charge of publications. And in terms of our membership, we have around 19,000 members from all around the world. And then we have 21 regional representatives. And so if you have any questions or concerns about AsiaTEFL, you can contact these people in your region or country. Now let me tell you about our major activities. The first and the most important thing is our journal, our publication, the Journal of AsiaTEFL. Currently, it's Scopus indexed, and we've gone through the SSCI registration evaluation, and we are about to be indexed by SSCI, hopefully in the very near future. And we also publish AsiaTEFL book series. The volumes have been published by leading publishers such as Cambridge and Routledge. And now the call for papers and the proposals are out there, so please join. And then, of course, AsiaTEFL Webinar Series. As I told you, the first one was launched in June 2021. And then now we have the 9th one with the title, Theme of Technology Integration in ELT, Insights into Practices. And of course, international conferences. We have 20-year history of hosting international conferences. We started in 2003 in Busan, and then Seoul, and then went to Beijing, China, and then went around all these different parts of Asian countries and regions. And this year, it's coming back to Daejeon, South Korea. Now, this is this year's conference. And this year, we celebrate the 20th anniversary of AsiaTEFL. And so the conference theme is Celebrating ELT in Asia, Visions and Aspirations. And the conference is hosted in Daejeon Convention Center in Daejeon, South Korea, and online. It's a hybrid conference. The dates are August 17th through 20th. And then the early bird and presenter registration is going on, and it will end by May 31st. So please hurry up. And then the regular pre-registration will go on until July 17th. So I really hope that we could have you all in Daejeon or online. And we have global leader and world-renowned scholars as our keynote speaker, and plenary speakers and featured speakers. As you can see, all these invited speakers are either from Asia or based in Asia. That's how AsiaTEFL empowers Asian scholars. Now, just recently, AsiaTEFL got this international partnership to support a conference to be held in Ukraine. Can you imagine? There's a conference to be held in the middle of the war, and nobody cannot stop those passionate English teachers about their teaching. So we decided to have this partnership to support each other's conference. So please take a look at this their conference, and then please support the conference. Now, AsiaTEFL is a multicultural, multilingual group of ELT professionals who have this common goal of developing English language teaching in our own region and country. With this motto, diversity within unity and unity within diversity. So I'd like to invite all of you to be part of this wonderful organization and work with me and then grow together in AsiaTEFL. And after my speech, we will all watch our new AsiaTEFL anthem video. This is a premiere show. It was just created last week. And I hope that video will help you to better understand AsiaTEFL. And finally, I really would like you to enjoy today's webinar and hope to see you again in our next webinar in July, or hope to see you in Daejeon or online in August. So thank you very much. The video, would you please?
We
Thank you very much, Professor Chu Kyung Park, for your inspiring welcoming speech and also for the fruitful presentation and to share the background of AsiaTEFL. And from the chat box here, I can see that we have participants from all around the world and most of you, attending webinar for the first time. Thank you very much. And I have to apologize for any inconvenience that caused due to some technical problems or technical issues. By the way, let's enjoy the rest of the webinar. And just a few announcements I would like to announce before we begin the section. Once again, a gentle reminder to those who have not registered for this webinar, please do so. And this will be part of our database purposes. So it would be appreciated if you could sign in using the link or the QR code here. Thank you. And regarding your questions for our speakers today, during the section, please send your questions to online question platform called Mentimeter. Please scan the QR code on the screen or make use of the chat room. We will select your questions and have our speakers answer your question during the Q&A time at the end. Also, I would like to address a very important issue for everyone here. We are delighted to tell you that we will provide an e-certificate for everyone who is attending this webinar. Therefore, you will need to complete an e-form. We will display a slide of the e-certificate at the end of this webinar, where you can use the link or the scan. Not to worry, we will remind you about this later. Let's enjoy our webinar first. So for your kind information, the format of the webinar is as follows. The webinar will last about 2 hours. In the first round, each speaker will be given 15 minutes for presentation. To ensure that the event runs smoothly and on time, I will give a verbal reminder when 5 minutes remain. And again, when time is up for each speaker, this will be followed by the Q&A section after all the speakers have completed their presentation, and this will last about 15 to 20 minutes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready are you ready to listen to our first speaker? Yes, okay. So let's hand over to our first speaker, Professor Dr. Hae-Young Kim, who will kick off today's webinar. But first, let me give you a brief introduction of our first speaker. Hae-Young Kim is a professor of English Education Department at Chunggang University in Seoul, Korea. She has studied computer assisted language learning and taught related courses at both undergraduate and graduate levels for the last 20 years. Her recent research interests include digital literacy, artificial intelligence chatbots for language for ELT, and technology integrated curriculum design. She had also developed an AI chatbot, Ellie and Kai, for English speaking practice of primary, middle, and high school students. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite our first speaker, Professor Dr. Hae-Young Kim, to take the virtual stage. She will be sharing valuable insights on AI technology integration into ELT. Dr. Hae-Young Kim, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Hae-Young Kim from Chunggang University, Seoul, Korea. And thank you for inviting me to this webinar. And thank you for your participation on this weekend. Today, I just want to highlight AI technology, how AI technologies are developed and meshed to create the third technology and how they apply to language education. In this very short time, 15 minutes, I'll try my best to give you new information and some insight for your instruction and also research. I don't think I can cover everything, but I'll just provide a PDF file to you. So I cannot finish, and you will just go over the rest of the list later with my handout. Thank you. Today, artificial technology, artificial intelligence technologies, artificial AI technologies. I think you have seen this type of information before. Artificial intelligence. For artificial intelligence, it's not a real intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence to become closer to human intelligence, eyes, vision, hearing, text and voice language should be recognized, understood, and organized, just like a human being. It's usually called natural language processing, and also to respond and produce its own messages. It's called natural language generation technology. Okay, this natural language generation, natural language understanding, put together, natural language processing has been studied. This has been a big challenge so far, but recently, in the last 10 years, many unsolved problems were dramatically improved. Last year, ChatGPT has shown unprecedented accuracy and speed in generating meaningful text. AI-powered automated system for language learning today. Here's a list I created for this webinar from second language pedagogical perspective. What kind of language learning program or system were newly developed by using new AI technology? I'll quickly introduce and show some examples. Okay, first of all, text, speech, image, these are all recognition technology, and automatic keyword matching, automated speaking assessment, automated writing evaluation, automated writing feedback, automated text generation, automatic reading comprehension test generator, automatic vocabulary text analyzer, automatic text word translator. Phew, I don't think I can go there. Maybe I can cover the 50%, I hope. Okay, so I'll go over one by one. First of all, speech recognition technology, that was almost the first one. And this technology can possibly test and evaluate our pronunciation. So it produces pronunciation training program and pronunciation test program. And here the link Elsa Speak is one of the example of the pronunciation test program, but I'm not going to go there. But more complex program is the second one, chatbot. Natural language processing, including understanding and generating, going together to create the chatbot. If it is text-based, it's text recognition, but voice is added, voice synthesizer technology is added, that can be voice chatbot. Okay, so I'm going to show you two technology here. I shouldn't. Okay, I didn't click this. I need to show this one. Okay, I'm in here. Oh, I'm sorry. Speech recognition and chatbot, and now image recognition. So I'll just introduce some of examples. First of all, cookie. This is Elsa, and I'll skip it, and I'll click text-based chatbot first. Cookie is award-winning AI chatbot, and it's very close to open conversation partner. So you can spend pretty much time just naturally exchanging with a chatbot cookie in English, but it's not very perfect human being conversation though. You'll see how it works now. Okay, it's just freeware, so you can just log in with your Google account. Okay, this girl is a cookie, and she can you see my screen? Well,
Yes.
okay, okay, I'll just type it here. Hi, cookie. Sometimes she shows this kind of images too. It's raining outside. Can you see very well outside. Okay, thank you. What are you to stay? I'm talking to you on the, over the internet. Okay, something like this. Okay, we can talk about the movies or favorite books and food, those kind of things. And it's casual conversation type of open conversation chatbot, which is much difficult than close conversation or information providing chatbot. Okay, but it's, I think, a very good conversation partner. And if the voice synthesizer is added, there can be voice chatbot. This is Ellie. Ellie is the voice chatbot, was designed for the K-12 students in public school based on the Korean national language curriculum. I can just click. You may use this site by just typing this web address and click the button and say, hi. Okay.
For my privacy, I cannot tell you my address. Sorry.
Okay. I shouldn't click before. Hi, Ellie.
Hi, are you having a good day?
Yes.
I see. I like talking with you. Any question about me?
Where do you live?
I came to Korea 2 years ago.
What do you do there?
I'm an English conversation partner.
Okay. Ellie is sort of a project. I'm a team member of the Ellie project, so it's still, we are developing it, but you can just talk with Ellie, open conversation basis. It's about personal information exchange or personalities or current feelings and concerns. It's only for the elementary and intermediate level of language. Okay, so I'll just go back and view something else. Okay, this is Ellie. And now natural language processing technology, voice text recognition technology, and keyword matching technology joined together and made Youglish. I don't know how many of you have heard this website before, but this is a very practical, useful site. So go youglish.com and show you how it works. This is Youglish. Youglish looks like a YouTube channel, right? Actually, Youglish search target expressions and words through YouTube channel so that shows the pronunciations and accents in a rich context, such as if you just target expression is you, I can believe you did this. This is actual expression I got from the textbooks, high school textbooks. And if I click, okay, they just found.
Oh, this is ridiculous. I can't believe you did this. There's gotta be some. Oh, this is ridiculous. I can't believe you did this. There's gotta be. Oh, this is ridiculous. I can't believe you. Oh, this is ridiculous.
Okay, and also there are lots of different.
You know, I can't believe you did this after 25 or 30 years of doing diversity work. You're still doing this. And then by that time, he was gone. But, you know, I can't believe you did this after 25 or 30 years of doing diversity work. You're still doing this. And then by that time, he was gone. But
keep clicking.
I was like, Martha, like, I can't believe you did this to me. This is the worst recipe ever. And it was like that. And I've stopped flop. I was like, Martha, like, I can't believe you did this to me. This is the worst recipe ever.
Okay, and also with a different accent. There are many different accents of English, like New Zealand, Australian. Okay, I just tried the British movies.
I can't believe you did this. Rhyming Astley with ghastly. That honour memorably. I can't believe you did this. Rhyming Astley with ghastly. That honour memorably belongs to.
Okay, and also a word. Oh, I shouldn't do it. Okay, maybe I'll try with word and other expressions. You can review how practical it is. And let me just move on to the next technology, which is ASA, Automated Speaking Assessment. I just realized it. There are so many global publishers develop their own AI engine called ASA. And so if we take a speaking test, they'll not use the human raters anymore, and they use their engine. So the ASA system will just automatically evaluate the speaking test. And the attraction of ASA system is, first of all, economy. It's cheaper and faster to score the test, and also more accurate in some sense than human raters. So a TOEFL, Duolingo, English score speaking test, Lingua skill general speaking test, PTA academics, first English test. These are all from the global big publishers, ETS, British Council, Pearson, and Cambridge. They all have now AI-powered automatic system. This is the example of score, speaking score, English score, I'm sorry, English score speaking test. And we're supposed to use our smartphone and just record voice and got the results like this. And test is something, just a sec. Test is something like the speaker is looking at me. So I feel like I'm talking with the person. So I can answer to the question of the native speakers of English there. Then they will record and save it, and they'll evaluate it right away, and I'll get the result. Very statistically informative. The pronunciation, fluency, and many more, and also certificate. Okay, that idea is ASA, and there's on the other side AWA, which is automated writing assessment. Okay, this one was actually developed more early than I think ASA. So right now there are many websites and systems for AWA, IntelliMetric, E-Rater by ETS, PGI is by Chinese program, Criterion is the actual test program. Okay, these are AWA. There are many more. I just highlighted some well-known sites. And this is from the research article. It's about review criteria, and test result is this much in detail. Summary of grammar errors of the writer and trait feedback analysis on the grammar. Okay, so you can have many information from the system once you just get take the test. This time automated writing feedback.
It's time to wrap up.
Okay. All right. So word tune is we can just change the word from different appropriate uses, and also the grammar. While we're writing, you can also review your grammatical accuracy. Okay, so I'm not gonna go there. So I don't have any time left. Is it true? How many minutes?
Yes, unfortunately. It's the time is up, but you still have a few more minutes to wrap up.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to show a little more about ChatGPT and how it works. If I have a time, but let's see. I'm sure many of you already use the ChatGPT, so I just wanted to show us how it works for the language reading classroom and also create the new reading test. But here, I just typed the right one article about near cat for children. Then so quickly, the ChatGPT writes some article about meerkat, which is wild animal, okay, for children. And if I make another question called, please revise it, a shorter version for example, first graders of elementary school, and make it shorter. And also if I ask ChatGPT as I write an story about meerkat for kindergarten, and then there's a shorter story about the meerkat. So and then maybe this is going to be good reading materials. And if we use the automatic reading comprehension test generator, copy and paste, then K-Thunben engine can create a comprehension checkup questions. So teacher can easily provide supplement materials. Okay, maybe I think I need to finish it here and maybe review the PDF file. Thank you.
What an excellent presentation from our first speaker. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Hae-Young Kim, for your fruitful presentations on AI-powered technology, integration, ELT. And as you can see that, okay, she has provided us with a variety of useful sources that we can apply and implement it in our ELT classroom and also in our research. Okay, and unfortunately, due to the limited time, okay, we need to move on to our second speaker. Anyway, you can still contact our first speaker by the email address that she has posted recently. Ladies and gentlemen, just a quick reminder before we move on to our next speaker. For any questions for our speakers today, please send your questions to our live platform called Mentimeter. Please scan the QR code on the screen or make use of the link in the chat feature. And there will be time for us, okay, for the e-certificates at the end. So please stay tuned until the end of our webinar. Before moving on, okay, let me introduce our second speaker, Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabilan. Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabilan teaches at the School of Educational Studies, University Saint Malaysia, Penang. His research interests includes EICT, social media, and English language education, and professional development and critical practices of teachers. Recently, he is the editor-in-chief for Asian Pacific Journal of Educators and Education, which is a Scopus Index journal. Okay. For excuse me, for the IT staff, please assign Professor Kabilan to the panel. Okay, so he can make use of the microphone and share the screen. Okay.
Well, of course.
Okay, and ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me welcome you all, okay, to our first webinar. As our session is in webinar mode, not a general meeting, so some of you may not be familiar with this, and some of you cannot turn on your video, cannot use the microphone. Don't worry, okay? Because we as the organizing team apologize for any inconvenience this may cause, and we understand that using a meeting mode that our community is more familiar with would enhance the overall experience. However, okay, For this webinar mode, we can still enjoy the webinar and listen to the insightful information of our speakers today. Okay, so is our second speakers here? Okay, not yet. Okay, so let's wait for the IT support team. Okay, assign our second speaker, Professor Dr. Mohammed Kabilan, to in the panel team, so he can turn on. Okay, he's
now in the room.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, okay, are you in the room? Okay. Are you ready? Dr. Mohammed Kabilan? Not in the panel. Okay. Oh, he's still attending as a the participants, right? I see. Okay. May I ask if Dr. Francesca, could you be our second speaker first before we are waiting for the staff to fix this problem?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay,
No
so
problem.
sorry for okay, I'm very sorry for the inconvenience caused here. Okay, so the IT support staff, okay, please solve the problem immediately. So in the meantime, okay, I would like to welcome our second speaker, okay, which is actually supposed to be the last one. Okay, so let me provide you a short introduction of our next speaker. Okay, so we will have Associate Professor Dr. Francisca Yvonne, who will provide us with an in-depth perspective on empowering ELT teachers in the age of technology, navigating changing roles for enhanced language learning. Ladies and gentlemen, Francisca Maria Yvonne is an associate professor at University Nigerian Malang's Department of English. She earned a BA in ELT from the same university before continuing to University of Queensland in Brisbane, Australia. She received an MA and a PhD in Applied Linguistics from Deakin University. She conducts and publishes research in the fields of ELT, technology-enhanced language learning, extensive listening and viewing, extensive reading, learning autonomy, and collaborative learning. Today, she teaches technology in ELT and applied linguistics classes at the undergraduate and graduate levels. Dr. Francisca, are you ready to share your valuable experience with our audience?
Yes, I'm ready, Dr. Punyapa. Thank you.
Okay, please join me in welcoming Associate Professor Dr. Francisca Yvonne.
Thank you very much. So, good afternoon, good morning, everyone from Indonesia. So, allow me to share my screen. So today I'm going to talk about navigating the changing landscape of technology-enhanced language learning, adapting roles and responsibilities of teachers. So we've heard an amazing presentation by Professor Hyung Kim, and I'm going to try to relate a little bit to what she said earlier. So my name is Francisca Maria Yvonne, and I'm from Universitas Negeri Malang. This is my location. So this is Indonesia, and I'm located here in East Java, Indonesia, pretty close to Bali. All right, so today, I'm sure that all of us are familiar with this because we've been teachers, or we will be teachers in the future, and we are aware of what we are to do in this business, right? So let's take a look at what we know, or what we have known so far about our roles as teachers. So the first one is probably as curriculum planner. So this is like the huge job, the big job. We do a lot of things in relation to this. So we design and plan language curriculum and then include materials and choose resources, create lesson plans and things like that. So this is the major work that we do. And as language teachers, we also act as or take a role as instructor or teacher and tutor, depending on the context, right? So instructor, teacher, and tutor. We most of the time act as primarily source of knowledge. and then provide instruction and facilitate learning process. So for example, when we teach vocabulary or we want to introduce vocabulary to our students, we introduce new vocabulary and grammar rules, explain the use, and then provide examples to help our students apply them in different contexts. So this is one of our major roles as language teachers. So as you can see that I put the font now a little bit smaller because I'm going to the, not the macro roles, but these are more micro roles that we play as language teachers. So as lesson designer and manager, and then we also play roles as assessor and evaluator, as language model and experts. So in the past, I still remember when I started my teaching job for the first time that my students asked me questions like, I am an expert of language, so, and I'm supposed to be able to answer many things in relation to the language that I teach. And we also play a role as resource selector, provider, or suggester. Yeah, so we select, we curate material resources for our students. Sometimes we give them fixed things to watch or read, but sometimes we give them just suggestions. So this is another role. We also some of the time act as cultural ambassadors. So we introduce and familiarize our students with the target language culture, custom, tradition. We incorporate cultural elements such as, or many things like literature, music, arts, and celebrations into our lessons. So this is part of our job as language teachers. And we also act as facilitator of communication and interaction between students and with our students. And when things go wrong or when we have conflicts during time of teaching, we mediate and resolve conflicts and facilitate discussions to resolve those conflicts. We also sometimes act as motivator and coach. So I'm sure that all of us are familiar with all of this, but today I'm going to just highlight a few of them, so 4 of these, and see how technology has influenced us in playing this role. So let's take a look at the first example. So as lesson designer and manager, so lately we've seen that, and some of us are really scared of this because some teachers ask whether their jobs are going to be replaced by technology or artificial intelligence, as Professor Hae-Young Kim earlier showed us. So this is an example of lesson plan generator, and many of apps like this are available on the internet. So all we need to do is to just put in the grade and then put in the subject, topic. So I've created a video for this one, so we can watch it and put our email address in if you want to get newsletter or updates from them. And when we click the generate lesson plan, then something like this will appear. We will get the lesson objective, ideas for the opening of our lesson. So we're going to take a look at this and wait for a bit and see how powerful this is. Yes, so the opening, the introduction to the material. So different platform will give us different lesson plan. Yeah, this is something that I'm sure that we are familiar with because we do this on a daily basis when we plan our lessons, but now it can be delegated to technology. So we are given some suggestions of what we can do, as we do some practices with our students in class. So we can just adopt and adapt these things. So as a lesson manager, some of our jobs are actually being taken over by technology. So we can still watch that while I'm showing other things. Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, we know that we are supported by course management systems similar to Google Classroom or Edmodo or other course management system that we have. So there, we are also supported and helped by technology in many different ways. So chat apps as WhatsApp in Indonesia is very, very popular, but in other places, people start to use Discord. This is originally used by gamers, but now it has been adopted in education. So in designing lessons and managing lessons, we are supported by technology. So what about the next one? So as assessor and evaluator, we do this on a daily basis, and usually it takes time to do this, right? With technology, we can have something like this. This is just one example of what technology can do. Different websites and platforms will provide later on different types of feedback to our students. Sometimes it's as simple as this, right and wrong, but sometimes you can also get quite sophisticated kind of feedback, pretty personal. And for example, when we work with Grammarly, we can get feedback on specific problems that we have so that we can improve on that. So something like this. Again, technology is playing a huge role in this. And the next one, language model and expert. Well, as non-native speakers, usually we are so overwhelmed when our students, treat us as the language model or expert, because we don't think that we are a good model or we are an expert in this language. But today, with the options available all over the internet, we can get access to platforms that can provide our students with grammar exercises and then models for pronunciation, and then if you go to YouTube, as earlier shown, there's another Junglish, taken from YouTube videos, or simple dictionary can help our students to learn better. Well, when we're talking about a dictionary like this, it's actually a lot better than what we have in the form of written dictionary, because we can have pronunciation model in there as we try to find the meaning of words. And another one, when we select something, usually in the past we just use a book, but today we have everything available on the internet. We can put it in a program like this, vocabulary profilers, and see how difficult the vocabulary is. And then we can suggest our students to use this program, or we can use this program to choose something for our students. But we are also fortunate enough to have everything like this available over the internet. So does it mean that our job as language teachers is over? Well, probably not. Because as you can see from the examples given by Professor Hyun Kim and my earlier example, we can see that we can delegate some of our jobs to technology, and some of our jobs are enhanced by the use of technology. However, everything else, the roles that we play as language teachers, will still be the same, similar, but different in how we do it. So if we take a look at the technology today and reflect on the roles of technology, we can see that, but first of all, we can use technology to assist us, teachers and students, to perform certain tasks. So we can treat them as tools. And this is the most familiar and the most well-developed area of research and practice in the area of technology-enhanced language teaching, as well as computer-assisted language learning. And the other area is actually technology as tutor. So technology can act as teachers or assist teachers in the process of teaching. But I can see that lately the development of technology is in this area. So we can have technology as the mate now, as companion, as our opponent. We can play things with technology. So a couple of days ago, I played around a little bit with ChatGPT and see whether I can ask ChatGPT to be something. So this is an example. So I asked ChatGPT to act as my teacher. So I give it, condition, very specific prompts. And then I asked ChatGPT to guide me to do the task and 5 simple steps and blah, blah, blah. So instead of giving a list of stages, ChatGPT actually went through the process of making a summary story with me. So in this way, I can ask a chatbot or ChatGPT in this particular example to be a teacher, to be an instructor. And then it guided me through the process. Another try. I asked it whether I can play games with ChatGPT. So yesterday I played game with it. I asked it to play a word association with me. So let's play, and then it started with the word sun, and then I gave it hot, and then it said spicy, and then seasoning, so on and so forth. So we can play this kind of game with ChatGPT. Pretty interesting. The next one, this is the most interesting one, and I think this is going to be like, it opens up a whole new avenue for language teaching and learning, because in this particular example, I asked ChatGPT to be imperfect, to make mistakes. So it made mistakes. So in this example, we played game, and ChatGPT gave me a sentence to fill in, and the sentence was, I blank to the store to buy some blank. And I gave it an answer of want and milk. But ChatGPT said, yeah, great. The sentence should be, I want to the store to buy some milk. It's wrong. As a language learner, I know that it's wrong. And so I told ChatGPT, I think my sentence was incorrect. And then, ChatGPT fixed the sentence for me. So apologies for any confusion, cause you're right. The correct sentence should be, I went to the store to buy some milk. So
you have 5 minutes to wrap up.
Thank you. Yes, so when preparing for this presentation, I remember that a long time ago, I read a book by Robert Taylor. And in that book, he came up with the framework of computer as tool, tutor, and tutee. At that time, I was a little bit confused with this because the era of technology at that time wasn't sophisticated enough to use computer as tutee. Yeah, so we can imagine to use computer as to assist us in performing tasks and to teach, to help us teach. But how can we teach computer to learn to be tutor or tools? But today we can see that it is probably quite possible, especially with the invention and with the sophistication of the development of AI. Probably in the future, it's going to be pretty possible. So at this point, as you can see that I give different colors to this, this is an area that we know for sure we can do. This is an area that we are still exploring. And in the future, probably this is the framework that we are going to use in the area of language teaching and learning. So probably in the future, computer can be our tutee or to learn to be something that we want to. So going back to our roles now, will we lose our jobs? Probably not, but we will have to adopt some more roles in this. So we need to be able to be a facilitator of technology-enhanced language learning, and then better curators or probably developer of a digital content. We need to embrace this new role of being integrators of AI-based language tools, be coaches for digital literacy and critical thinking, and collaborators in online language communities, assessors of digital language skills. It's actually giving us more jobs than ever. lifelong learning guides. And the last one, probably we can talk a little bit more about that as moral guardian, because sometimes our students do not know the boundaries of when to use artificial intelligence, and it may cause problems in terms of ethics later on. So to be able to play all of these roles, the old roles that we have and the new roles that we are embracing in the future, we need to be literate. Yeah, teachers will need to be literate. We should master technology to be its master. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Associate Professor Dr. Francisca M. Iwang, for the insightful information and shining the light on the pathway for the future of our ELT community as we see the changing roles of language teachers due to the integration of technology into language teaching, and so that we are aware of the options and make use of them to enhance our teaching and research. Thank you very much. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you again that before we move on to our last speaker, for any questions for our speakers today, please send your questions to the online platform called Mentimeter, or by scanning the QR code on the screen. Or you can make use of the chat feature on Zoom, and we will select your questions and have our speakers answer your question during the Q&A time after we finish all of the presentation. And for the e-certificates, let me remind you again that we will show the QR code for you to scan to fill in the form for the e-certificate at the end of the webinar. Okay. So far, so good, everybody. Okay, so far we have known lots of technology integrated software or the AI chatbots, or of the technology that we can use to enhance our classroom and to help our students to improve their English skills. Okay, moving on, let me introduce our last speaker, Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabilan. Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabilan teaches at the School of Educational Studies, University Sang Malaysia Penang. His research interests include ICT, social media, and English language education, and professional development and critical practices of teachers. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's give us a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabilan, who will enlighten us on technology integration in ELT, the case for authenticity. Please welcome. Dr. Kabilan, have you unmuted your microphone?
All right,
Okay,
sorry.
the floor is yours. Yes. Okay, could you unmute your microphones again, please?
Okay.
Perfect. Okay.
All right. Sorry again. Well, this is technology. We would like to depend on technology, but at the same time, depending on it 100% may not be a good idea. That's why we still need teachers, and I agree with Dr. Yvonne. No matter how much technology that we have in place to help us, at the end of the day, students need teachers. Okay, so my topic today is technology integration in ELT, the case for authenticity. So what I'm going to do today is just share with you with a teaching project, a collaborative teaching project online that I did with my colleagues in University Science Malaysia. And based on this project, I will share with you the case for authenticity, why whatever that we are planning, especially with the use of technology for ELT, one of the most important things is to be authentic from every sense. All right? Okay, so my two colleagues, Safia Najwa on top and Nur Hilyati Ramli in the bottom. So Safia is a designer, graphic designer, and Nur Hilyati is in the field of arts, theater, and so forth. So obviously, I'm from the field of education. I train English language teachers. So one of the courses that I was teaching was speaking and listening skills. So, and one of the main component of my course is to get students to be involved in a drama whereby they have to produce a show, they have to act, they have to write their own script and things like that. So one of the things that I noticed is that they do not have, the required skills to write script, even though they have the language, but writing a script is totally different. So they also lacked, not many of them can act, not many of them could direct a drama. In addition, they also need to create posters and so forth. They don't have that skill. Not everyone is able to do that. So what I did was I engaged with these two lecturers from the School of the Arts. And Hilyati student, they were, directors. They were students of acting and directing. So they engaged with my student. They helped out with the directing of the theater or the drama, as well as trained my students to act. And these are, they themselves, they are the ones who will be, they also engage in their own course, which is acting and directing. So they also need training in terms of acting and directing. And then, of course, the graphic designers. So we put all of them together in one group, and there were 8 groups in total. So in one group, there would be about 10 TESOL students, about 8 acting and directing students, and then about another 10 graphic designers. So these 3 different students with different backgrounds, they work together in creating a theater. And so they discussed, they created tasks, they had many learning activities, discussions, and these were based on project-based learning. And their experiences, their reflections were captured in this Facebook group, Advancing Creativity Together, ACT. So the address is there. So it is open. So all of you are most welcome to visit the group and see what they have done. All right. So these are some of the, some of the reflections that they went through. So every week when they have their own training, discussions, so they are supposed to reflect on these activities. The TESOL students have their own group, so they have to discuss. The graphic students, they have their own group, as well as the acting and directing. Okay. So one of the key elements that we included is assessment, authentic assessment. So we actually invited real actors, real directors to assess the theaters that were produced by the students. And they also had the opportunity to engage with them, with the judges during the assessment process. This is one of them, Dr. Kamal Sabran, as well as from the private sector. So they had real world experiences as judges, as actors, directors, musicians, and so forth. All right. So these are the 8 outcomes, or the channels that they had to produce, because this was done during COVID time. So they could only produce videos which were later uploaded in YouTube channels, and these YouTube channels were assessed by public, as well as the lecturers, and of course the judges who were invited. Right. So to sort of like summarize, what are the main things that I learned from this project, especially from a pedagogy point of view, especially from the teacher's point of view. As a whole, when we are using technology, one of the key things that we need to focus on is the authenticity. And what do I mean by authenticity? Number one, it has to be from the perspective of the real world, what is actually happening. So in terms of the real world, we engage the assessor, we engage actors, theater directors to assess the students' work. It has to be challenging, and we made it really challenging. That means in a group of 3 different students with different interests and learning outcomes, they have to come together and solve problems and make it a challenging project for them. And at the same time, it has to be a meaningful learning experience. And then, of course, it must be relevant to their own courses, as well as relevant to their learning needs. So we have here 8 aspects of this project that teachers should be considering when you're talking about, or when you're using ICT or technology for English language teaching, to make it real, to make it authentic, to be meaningful to the students. So we have the learning outcomes, we have assessment, we have the component of tasks and assignments, reflections, tools and technologies, skills and contents, collaboration, engagement. So what this model means is that if a teacher is planning for a long-term project or something that would change or transform the students' learning. So these are the 8 aspects or pedagogical aspects that I believe, based on my experience of doing this project, we believe that these are the things that should be considered by teachers when they are planning for such a program or a project. So let me give you an example of what I'm saying. Okay, let's look from the learning outcomes perspective. So of course, you have the learning outcomes, and you need to ensure, if you're planning for such a project, online project, you need to make sure the learning outcomes are in line with the assessment that you're going to integrate. So for example, in our project, we included the experts from the real world, the actors and the music, the theater directors, to assess, and then we gave them the rubric, the learning outcomes that they should be achieving. And then from the learning outcomes and tasks and assignments, so what kind of tasks and assignments that would be suitable in achieving those learning outcomes? That is number 2. Reflection. The whole idea of reflection is for the students to reiterate, to internalize their learning. So by having reflections along the way, reflecting on their learning, of their engagement, and all the other things, the learning outcomes becomes much clearer, not only for the teachers, but also for the learners themselves. And of course, the kind of tools and technologies that you want to use as part of a platform to bring out the learning outcomes. You know, we had just now Prof. Kim and Dr. Yvonne talk about AI, elements of AIs, whereby, you know, those could be used to help learners maximize their potentials in terms of writing or reading. So that is another thing that has to be considered. What kind of tools or technologies that would be best suited to bring out the learning outcomes? Okay, so the other thing is that when we talk about tools and technologies, we have the 4 keywords there: real world, meaningful, relevant, and challenging. You may want to use tools and technologies that are meaningful and relevant to them. To whom? Not to us, the teachers, but relevant to the students. What kind of tools are they into right now? If you were to ask me, 10 years ago was Facebook, but now it is more based on micro-learning, things like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, which are more shorter and faster way of sharing ideas or views. So that is something that to be considered. And of course, what kind of skills and contents that you want your learners to learn. For example, if you're thinking of writing, then maybe TikTok and Instagram may not be suitable, because it has limited characters. It only allows you to write certain length of a sentence or something like that. But in Facebook, for example, you can write as much as you want. But then again, also depends whether you want them to write an essay or you just want them to write correct sentences. So if correct sentences, then perhaps, like TikTok, correct sentences, you can use it for primary school students learning, whereby they just need to come out with simple, shorter sentences. So again, that depends on the consideration of what kind of learning outcomes. So the other example is collaboration. So if you're thinking about the learning outcomes, how can you fulfill the needs of the other collaborators? For example, in this project, I had 3 different groups: the TESOL students, the graphic designers, as well as the acting and directing students. So when we are collaborating, we need to ensure that all these 3 groups are learning, are engaging, and they are reflecting something which is relevant to them, something which is meaningful to them, something is challenging to them as a whole group, as well as individually, So for example, I'm going to focus on the real world. So for the TESOL teacher, the real world here is the fact that they're using the language, when they're acting in the drama or theater production, they have to speak the language. Sometimes I myself as a teacher, I feel I am an actor in front of my students. So that's the real world experience for my TESOL students. But at the same time, the real world experience for the graphic designers are whereby they have to create the YouTube channel, because that's the job of graphic designers. They have to create the banners, the YouTube channels to promote the event. So that's their job. And coming to the acting and directing students, they are the ones who actually directed these students, my TESOL students. So they were the directors. They also helped out with my students acting, how to project your voice, how to place yourself in certain positions, how do you face your audience. At the same time, how can you interact with the other actors surrounding you? So these are the things that, well, I'm not an actor, but I'm a teacher. So these are the things that I had to depend on the acting and directing student. So the collaboration is meaningful for all 3 parties, as well as the whole of them as one group. And of course, engagement. So the thing is, we need to make sure that they are really engaged with the learning outcomes. So how do you ensure that? What kind of activities? These are the questions that teachers have to think about. What kind of activities that would allow them to engage with others, engage with the content, engage with the task, engage with the assessment, and so forth, in leading to the learning outcomes that has been determined by the teacher or the lecturer. So this is one example whereby the learning outcomes, So you can also look from other points of view. For example, assessment and collaboration. How do you ensure assessment is equally well placed for all the 3 different groups? Assessment of skills and content. So these are it's a very complex model whereby all the components are related to each other. And this, if you or any teacher or planner is able to take into account all these components, then the learning experience that the students are going to have is a meaningful one, is a relevant one, and surely it will be challenging, and it will be based on the real world. So I think that's all from me. I hope I did not exceed the time limit. So thank you very much.
Not at all. Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabilan, for sharing your knowledge and expertise. We have gained valuable insights into the authenticity, in order to integrate technology in ELT. So far, he suggested that authenticity is one of the main keys that teachers should take into consideration when we decide or when we cooperate or integrate technology into our ELT. Okay, thank you very much once again. Ladies and gentlemen, so that was the last presenter, for this webinar. Okay, so now we are moving on to the Q&A sections. These questions have been taken from those posted on Mentimeter and the Zoom chat. Okay, so if you have the questions for our last speaker, please scan the QR code posted on the screen here, or you can send them or any questions, in the chat feature. Okay, or it could be feedbacks or comments for our speakers. Okay, so I think that, so far we have received some excellent questions from our attendees. Thank you very much for all of the questions sending here. I think, our speaker, are you ready for the question time? Okay, so I will ask all the questions. So if any of you would like to answer, please feel free to do so. Okay, but the first question would be, is there any plagiarism check tool that could detect work generated by ChatGPT? This might be a little bit difficult, right? So yeah, if any of you would like to answer, please feel free to do so.
Yes, they are actually. So if we just type, anti-ChatGPT on the browser, probably you come up with several answers, but turn it in for one. It has an ability to identify, whether text is generated by human or artificial intelligence. So it can give us, clues. But there are programs out there that can be used to find out whether a text is actually generated by ChatGPT or human.
Thank you very much for your answer, and also from the comments and the answer from the chat room. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move on to the next. Okay, yes, please.
One of the other examples of a ChatGPT plagiarism detector is AI content detector. I just copied and pasted on the chat room. If you type AI content detector, then you'll see just one of the. There are many detecting programs, but that's the one I know.
Very interesting indeed. Okay, so you can look at the answer from Professor Kim, in the chat room, AI content detector. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Okay, when AI technology integrated much more into educational systems, for example, in ELT online course, will teachers be less requirement for real classroom practice in the future? What's your outlook? Yes, that question might be a little bit difficult because, because I think that is one thing that we are worried. Yes.
Can I see the questions again?
Okay.
See the questions.
Okay. The question says, will the teachers be less required for the real classroom practice in the future when AI seems to be replaced the real teacher in the classroom? What is your opinion about this? Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I can start first, and then I have a very, you may say that I have a very traditional view of ChatGPT or any other AI, because the abuse and misuse that is that is always open to the students and the teachers. No matter how good or weak the students, or how it also applies to the teachers and anyone who uses those applications. The thing is, students can always abuse and misuse. Of course, I cannot deny that it has advantages for learning. It can make things faster and better. But then, how much will it affect the thinking abilities of the students? Let me give you an example. I'm pretty sure some of the professors, remember those days when we have dial-up phones? Remember those days when we have dial-up phones? I can remember all the numbers of my friends in my entire class, and my aunties, my uncles, my relatives. So if my father says, "Oh, please call your auntie, I need to talk to her," I remember by heart, But then now, if you ask me to get the number of my auntie, I need to refer to my handphone because the numbers is stored there. So it does not encourage us to think and to use our memory, to use our brain to memorize those numbers. That's my main concern. I'm afraid that we will become lazy. I agree with the question that maybe not so much, but to some extent, we may take things for granted. We may not think as much as we used to, especially when it comes to writing. And certainly, it has some negative outcomes if we do not have a way of using ChatGPT in the right manner, or any other AIs. That's my view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kabilan. Yes, please, Dr. Kim.
Yes, I totally agree with Dr. Anthony Kabilan's ideas. And one more thing I thought of was, so far, at least in Korea, many ELT educators spend so much time in focusing on the forms, grammars, and vocabularies. When we teach writing, we really care the sentence structures. When we teach reading, we also analyze the sentence structure again. So we just have not much time talking about content and higher values and critical thinking. But when we use translators or when we use other AI technologies, I think AI technology can handle those kind of form part. And then a student can exchange meaning more freely and more comfortably. So obviously, I think we can pursue the higher values of living in societies. So I think there's a little bit of darker side of AI using technology. However, a brighter side is something like this. We can just get rid of our, language barriers and pursue better values and contents and messages across the countries.
Yes,
Can I
please.
add a little bit?
Yes,
Thank
sure.
you. Yeah, so I think that the potentials of using all sorts of technology in language teaching and learning outweighs its problems caused by its use. So I'm sure that all of us are now scared of our students writing using ChatGPT, and then we will need to at the end of the semester put everything that our students write into sort of program to find out whether it is actually written by the students themselves or not. But the possibility of using ChatGPT is not only that, and if we are not exploring and embracing its use by understanding what it can actually do, probably we will miss a lot. Yeah, so what we need right now is probably a regulation. I'm sure that the many countries are now starting to see the threat of ChatGPT, right? In some countries it's even banned. We can also do similar things in our classes, but banning it is actually not an option because we know that the technology is here to stay and it will stay. And what we can do is actually to use it to our benefit. You know, if we think that it will make our work a lot faster and better, why not using it? You know, so yesterday I think I played around with Elicit. Elicit is AI powered program that can be used for conducting literature review. I remember that when I did my master's and PhD, I spent a lot of time just to find relevant resources. But now we have all of these things that can help us, you know, make things a little bit faster, not helping us write the dissertation or article, but it can help us in the more manageable, you know, less manageable tasks like, you know, conducting literature review or checking our grammar. So when I write an article today, I always send it to Grammarly because I know as a non-native speaker, I make mistakes. So why not putting it on Grammarly and find out how it can help me fix my grammar?
Thank you very much, okay, for sharing for all of you. Okay, so as you have said that we should master technology to be smarter. So I totally agree with your statement. Okay, so one last question. Okay, we apologize if we couldn't address all the questions due to the time constraints. Okay, one last question regarding writing. As all of you have mentioned about it, can you recommend any AI websites that help learners to improve their writing skill by collecting the mistakes of writing and at the same time give feedback to them, like why the writing is wrong or how could you improve their writing? Any of you could answer this. There are quite a lot, right? So maybe you can share just some, okay, maybe the free AI tools that can help our students improve their writing. Thank you very much, Dr. Kim.
This was what you want. I think while we are writing, the Grammarly type of automated writing feedback program can give the correction and suggestion and provide appropriate word use. So maybe I'll just recommend Grammarly or WordTune. WordTune is also very good tools. They are free, basically.
Thank you very much. Okay, any of you would like to add on? Dr. Kabilan, Dr. Yvonne, yes?
There's Hemingway app. If I'm not mistaken, Hemingway app will help us with the writing style a little bit. Yeah, but students can also use Quillbot if they want to learn how to paraphrase and then make their words a little bit more sophisticated. Yeah, those are the two that I can remember.
Right.
Yeah, the other one that I sometimes use is Google Doc. You know, it also has basic what you call features that sort of like helps you along the way. For example, grammar. Sometimes it suggests a better word. You know, suggests a better phrase. So it's not as sophisticated as ChatGPT or QuickBook, but it gets the basic things done. So your basic errors are minimized.
Thank you very much for all of your insightful answers and also the answer from the chat room, okay, from many experts from around the world too. Okay, that was an engaging and thought-provoking discussion indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize that we may not be able to send the slides to the participants. However, the webinar recording from today will be uploaded to our official YouTube channel at AsiaTEFL. Please stay tuned and visit our website or our official Facebook page, AsiaTEFL Organization, for more information and updates. Okay, and our time is drawing to a close. But before we wrap up, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank you to our speakers, Professor Dr. Hae-Young Kim, Professor Dr. Muhammad Kabaland, and Associate Professor Dr. Francisca Yvonne. I also would like to express my gratitude to all the participants for their active engagement throughout the webinar. Your active participation and valuable insights have made this session truly enriching. Remember, the discussion doesn't end yet. Feel free to contact with our speakers on their respective platforms. And just a quick reminder that our webinar isn't finished yet. We will let you know soon about how to get an e-certificate. So just wait and hold on, okay? Just before we go to that, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce our AsiaTEFL Professional Network Committee members who work behind the webinar series 2023. Let's see who they are. Any? Okay. So there are 17 committee members from Malaysia and Thailand who have worked together to ensure the webinar series 2023 is conducted successfully. And this is Professor Prakasit Sithitikun, Vice President of AsiaTEFL. Please give him a big hand. And this is the team of advisory board. Okay. And Mr. Kiripat is the chair of the AsiaTEFL this year, and also Kun Ajahn Chai Chanan Damsi. Okay. And this is the technical management team regarding the sponsorship. Okay. National University of Education has sponsored a Zoom account with a maximum capacity of 1,000 attendees, which we are utilizing for this 2023 webinar series, free of charge. And is it a team of publicity and promotion? And this is a team of data management. Thank you very much, okay, for all of you. And before we move to the end of this webinar, due to the webinar format this year, okay, the participants cannot turn on their camera. So we will just take a photo of our team instead. Okay. Okay, please. That's just a quick one. Okay. So all the committees, please give a smile to the camera. Okay. And if you could turn on the camera, that will be appreciated. Okay. I'll count 3. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful. Okay, excellent. And thank you very much for the delightful interactions, okay, both face-to-face and the chat rooms. And now it's time for the e-certificate, okay. And as informed you earlier, we are happy to issue an e-certificate to all of you who have been attending this webinar. So as you can see on the screen, this one, okay, the link and the QR code are displayed now. So please use your device to either enter the link or scan the QR code. And this will direct you to an e-form which you can put your details. Please be reminded that the e-form is now open and will disappear with 15 minutes. So please complete it now. And we're also here with you to answer any questions about e-certificates if you have. And our e-certificate is computer generated based on what you have keyed in the form. So please ensure that your email address is correct. And all of the spaces and dots and symbols are correct. This is to ensure that we can send it back to you to the correct email address. And please be sure that you write down your name and your email address clearly, because we will not be reissuing any e-certificate in case of spelling errors. So please make sure, okay, and recheck your names again and your email address. And don't forget that you have only 15 minutes to fill in the form. But if you finish filling it, still stay tuned because we still have good news waiting for you at the end. And your certificates will be emailed to you within 2 weeks. Once the e-certificate have been sent, we will send out a notification email to everyone who register for this event. And you will need to let us know by a certain date, just in case you do not receive your certificate. Please be patient as we are taking time to ensure accuracy. Thank you.